Thank you. Certainly an honor to be in this crowd. Let me get this going. Yes. Um, as you can see, I've decided not to go the PowerPoint way. So. Right. Well, first of all, Strand Life Sciences, I guess, is here partly to represent scientific innovation or innovation that typically one associates coming out of universities, and it is true. Computers have not been as effective in discovering drugs has been that biology and biological systems, the human body and so on, are considered extremely complex, and how we address that complexity and how we handle that complexity is really key to the issue of how we can address success in drug discovery, therapeutics, or predictive healthcare, as it's coming to be called. In fact, I would highly recommend a book for you to read. It's by Andy Kessler, and it's called The End of Medicine and How Silicon Valley is Going to Reboot Your Doctor. So it's an excellent introduction to where the problems are essentially in the predictive science associated with healthcare. But as engineers, we've been handling complexity. Think about the fact that an airplane is designed on the computer today, right? You don't actually build airplanes and fly them and see if they crash and develop airplanes that way. You actually design, simulate, and get aircraft to certain spec before you actually build them. The same with chips. I mean, think about VLSI. These are incredibly complicated circuits that are being designed, at places like Texas Instruments, and which are being leveraged in many ways by all of these product companies that we heard make presentations. So, handling complexity, there are examples and there are paradigms, and what comes through is this very simple principle that computers for exploration and fabricate for confirmation, right? It's a very simple idea, and the question is, why isn't this happening in biology, right? In biology, what is happening is that what we would really like for biology to do is to use computers for exploration and have experiments run for confirmation. But really the state today is that experiments are used for exploration as well, right? And so in some sense, the search for a therapeutic or search for a diagnostic today actually involves a huge amount of experimentation and a huge amount of very expensive failure before you actually get to a success, and that in many ways describes the problem. So if we were to actually build towards a solution where this paradigm of using computers for exploration in the life sciences, there are many. It's obviously a huge challenge, and you have to chip away at that challenge, and I'm going to talk about how Strand has gone about chipping at that challenge. One of the first things that happens, of course, and 10 years ago you couldn't even talk about this, but today you can, because there's been a transduction of biological experiments, right? Today you have huge amounts of data that is telling you all kinds of things, but it is data that needs to be analyzed. And I think Ashish talked about data, in other settings, but biology is probably one of the biggest hogs of data today, right? It was not, companies have hundreds of terabytes of data already, that they're dealing with. Uh, so the first thing would be to identify patterns in data, and so data mining is the big challenge. And of course, visualization and interrogation of data once you start finding the pattern is the next step. So, this involves machine learning, this involves statistical analysis of various kinds, and actually starting to make sense of all of this data. But a strong component in all of this is visualization of data. Then there is the question of mapping what you find and being able to overlay that on what is known and the state of knowledge in the industry. And this is, in fact, complicated in the field of life sciences because really a lot of the information is in research papers, it's in documents. And, it's a huge challenge for a life scientist today to actually go and search those documents and find what the state of the art is. And in some ways, the KPO industry, benefits from this kind of challenge. And one of what we have been doing at Strand is essentially using natural language processing and text mining to actually go and read documents and extract the knowledge to be able to do this interpretation of pathways and so forth in biology. And finally, you want to put all of this together and actually build models, right? And so, the picture is of a scarecrow, and a scarecrow is a pretty good model, right? It at least scares away the crows. So it's a functional model, and that's really what one is trying to address. So what we have done at Strand is essentially chipped away at all of these pieces. We've built a number of technologies, and I'll talk about the platform itself. But in the process of that, what we've also been able to do is to spin off various products for the life sciences industry out of this platform technology, and also provide various services. But the platform and all of these technologies are now coming together to really actually address the challenges that I started off with. And the first challenge that we've been able to address very recently is that we now have a model of the human liver, which is really a systems biology model with a network of differential equations, which is running simulations and starting to predict various toxicities in the human liver of cholestasis, steatosis, and so forth, which now we are starting to show to consortia of pharmaceutical companies and the NIH and so forth. So this is the first example of the kind of intellectual property that we're trying to create ultimately with all of this technology. The advantage of having a model is, of course, clearly that you can generate new hypotheses from the models and test them, right? And so the tremendous exploratory power that really that models give you is what we are after. So what is this core technology engine? It is, we call it AVADIS, and AVADIS is an acronym that expands to access, visualize, analyze, and discover, and which is really roughly the workflow that you have to go through as you put all this experimental information together and start building models. AVADIS has taken about 160 man-years of probably some of the finest computer science talent in the country. Today, AVADIS in various forms is licensed to over 1,000 labs, companies, pharmaceutical companies, biotech companies worldwide. A little over half of that is in the United States, in North America. And we also have a strong market position in the Asia Pacific, particularly in Japan, where we have a strategic investor.